this book really felt like it was not my black ass business. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Third Art Reads over here, we talk about books. We make lots of good food. We keep it cozy, all of that good stuff. But today I'm here to disrupt your energy because I have feelings about a damn book, okay? Y'all, a lot of y'all told me I would love it, and I did not. I fear I did not. Today we're going to talk about The Ritual, and I have some feelings. So if you want to talk about those feelings, go ahead and tap in. My friend Sher and I did a buddy read of The Ritual by Shantel Tessier. This is a super duper popular dark romance book, okay? Like, this has a cult following, and I kind of see why, but for me, this book just fell incredibly flat, from the plot to the characters to the dark romance of it all. I felt like it was just not done well. I have a lot of feelings, and I didn't feel like I could fit all of them into, you know, a book and breakfast or a reading wrap up. So let's go ahead and get into everything I feel about this book. The Ritual follows our two main characters, Blakely and Riot. This is a college dark romance that heavily features secret society, okay? So Riot and Blakely are both attending the same college. Riot is a member of the Lords, and the Lords are this secret society that to me doesn't even feel secret because everybody know about them. They are a secret society of well-off men who basically have their own like dark fraternity, essentially. And they're sent to do all of these missions that involve like killing folks and all these other things while they are in college as their initiation into the Lords. And it basically secures their place into the upper echelon of society. Like, if you're a Lord, you're kind of untouchable unless you go against the Lords. And so Riot is in his final year of college. He is in his final year with his initiation process. And when they get to this point, they are able to take a chosen. So I know y'all want to know, what is a chosen? A chosen is the prize that is given to these young men when they get to the end of their initiation. And so they are allowed to pick from a selection of women that will be essentially bonded to them, and she will be like theirs to do whatever they want with throughout the entire year. Basically a sex slave. Basically a sex slave. And so this all gets murky because Riot is not allowed to just pick any chosen. He is told that he has to pick a specific young woman who ends up being Blakely. And this causes a lot of issues because Blakely is already dating Matt, who is another member of the Lords. Prior to all of this, Riot and Matt were friends, but they went on a mission together. Matt went too far and tried to rape one of the women that was involved with one of the men that they were supposed to take out. And he ended up being party to that woman's unaliving. And Riot was like, yeah, I don't fuck with you like that anymore because he's like, I don't do loose ends. I don't do mess. I don't do all of that. And so as Matt's punishment, his girlfriend is now being forced to be under Riot's thumb. Okay, that's where all this starts, and that's where all of this goes downhill. Truly downhill from there. This had all of the makings of a book that I would thoroughly enjoy. But one, it was too damn long. This book, I mean, it's a brick. This book is, what, 600 plus pages? Yeah, it's over 600 pages. And it did not need to be, first of all. I like Blakely and Riot as characters to an extent. Now, she's a rich girl. She's been taken care of. She's a little bit of a brat. She does have some issues. Her mom is definitely a problem in her life, but she hasn't ever wanted to really work for or want for anything. On the flip side, you have Riot, who also came from a very well-off family. He's not some guy who got into this because, you know, he was raised poor and stuff like that. Like, he is a well-off kid. And he just has darker tendencies, you know. And this secret society speaks to that darker edge that he has. And he has kind of been the type that's like, he doesn't really, he has no interest in love. So he's just like, it's whatever. Like, I can like you, I can own you, all of this stuff, but I'll never fall in love with you. And we all know that's not really how it ends up, because he ends up basically being a slave to Blakely. Let's start with the good, the positives of this book. I think that eventually we do see the chemistry between Blakely and Riot. It takes a long time though. It takes hundreds of pages for me to actually feel like these two are a couple worth reading, honestly. For the majority of the first half of the book, there's no chemistry. Outside of the initial meeting between Riot and Blakely, when he just kind of pops up and he kind of just all of a sudden he's everywhere, you know, because he's trying to manipulate her into wanting to pick him as the woman that she's going to be the chosen for, because he wants her to feel like it's her decision, even though he's pulling all the strings and manipulating everything and getting in her head. There's this initial spark there that does not continue to carry as the story goes on. Once she picks him, like, things kind of die down from there. The first half of the book, majority, she's drugged. He drugs her so many times in the first half of this book. It's like, did we even need to be here? Why are we reading anything if she is unconscious for the majority of this book? So a lot of her agency is taken away. And even though a lot of the drugging that she's doing, like, she knows that she's taking something that is going to knock her the fuck out, but still, it's like, at some point, it's like, dude, you're just doing this because you don't want her to be just a tad bit difficult in your life. Like, you're just doing it out of convenience. And it got really annoying, because I'm like, how are we supposed to have any romance? How are we supposed to have any tension if the FMC is drugged for most of the book? Now, I am not someone who necessarily needs my books to be plot over smut, right? I'm okay if a book is mostly smut, but the smut was not great. It was very eye roll. It felt like it was trying to prove how hardcore it was. And it wasn't even that hardcore. Like, I read dark. My favorite book right there. You can see old boy's chest with all that blood running down it. That's Debt by Nina G. Jones. I read dark, okay? I love dark. This right here felt like a young man who was trying to prove to you that he is as daddy as he thinks that he is. It didn't feel organic in the way that it was happening. Even so much so that, like, there is a spot in here where she talks about how she has interest in CNC, but Matt shamed her when she had mentioned it when they were together. And Riot is like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, plenty of people have these kinks and stuff. And, you know, he's like, we don't kink shame over here. And so he's like, is that something that you would want us to do? Like, we can do that. Y'all, literally the next day, he is pulling up and putting a bag over her head and taking her out into the wilderness. Like, there's no tension whatsoever. I've read plenty of books that contain CNC, right? And there's always this level of build up to it. There's nothing. There's nothing. He just disappears for a day and pops up and is like, boom, shakalaka. Like, I'm just like, okay. On honestly, like, even if we're talking just the smut in general, he's given her the more than he does anything else. Like, we don't really get into like really good smut until the last half of the book. And that was better. I was like, okay. The club scene was really good. I enjoyed that. But it's like we don't get, it doesn't feel organic until like 50% through this book. And I hated that because it's like, I feel like there's all these ingredients that should make this wonderful. And it just was not. It just was not. There were also so many flimsy plot points, especially when it came to the lords. And I feel like, ooh, I don't want to be mean. So I'm not going to be mean. I feel like the plot was okay, but there were definitely a few plot holes in there, especially between the situation with Matt and Blakely, and you find out that it's so much deeper and it goes into their families, and essentially everything it goes back to the lords. The entire plot goes back to the lords, and the foundation of the lords themselves is so flimsy because there's nothing special about them. Like, you know, a lot of times you read Secret Society and it's a secret society of people who, you know, are perceived to do bad things, but there is a deeper meaning to those bad things, right? Or if we're getting Secret Society, it's the main characters of the book trying to infiltrate that society to kind of break it down and buck the system. We don't get that. This is just rich white men being rich white men. And this book really felt like it was not my black ass business. I'm just being honest. It did. The lords are just rich white men who do shitty things to do shitty things. And these characters are beholden to these people. And there's no point at any time in the book where they stand the fuck up. These people are not out here bucking the system. The women in the books are not over here really standing up to the men. And the men are not standing up to the system at large. They complain about it and they acknowledge it. They acknowledge that it's not okay and that it's fucked up. But like, we get to the end of the book and we're like 10 plus years, 18 years later, and the epilogue, and they are still beholden to the lords. There's no point where they are bucking the system at any point. They just become cogs in the machine. And I think maybe that's really what gets me, because I don't need my dark characters to have this altruistic purpose, you know? I don't need every dark male main character to be a fucking killmonger, you know what I'm saying? I don't need you to be out here upset because of the way the world is and, you know, doing bad things because you think that you're making things better. I don't necessarily need that. My fucked up main character can be fucked up simply because he is. I think a great example is In the Gray by B.B. Reed. Rowdy, the MMC in that book, is one crazy motherfucker. He's insane, okay? Nothing happened to him. His mama and his daddy were in the home. He was raised well. He didn't have a difficult life. That motherfucker was just crazy. And that was okay. If you're going to write bad people, let them be bad people. Because the amount of times that I hear the lords would never, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, babes, are we reading the same books? Because the lords absolutely would. They're not good people. They're not out here being Captain Save-A-Ho. And the only time that they do is because they feel like their property is being touched. Yes, Riot eventually falls in love with Blakely, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that love that he had for her outweighed his feelings of ownership and other people trampling on those feelings of ownership, right? Because I like Riot, and I think that Riot does have a deeper level of empathy than some of the other people in the books, but I would never call Riot a good person. And I would never think that Riot is the type of character that would be doing good deeds either, you know? He's not. Because if we're being real, the only reason him and Matt fell out, he didn't really care that Matt was about to grape another woman. He was more upset that Matt was going against what they were told to do by their superiors. I feel like this book, and also the way that people talk about these books, wants to make these people seem like good people when they're just not. But that's what the lords are. Like, they're not out here doing good deeds. They're not out here playing Robin Hood. They're doing what they're doing to get ahead and stay ahead. Like, that's what it is. It's rich white men's business. That's about it. And even in cases of family, you see the ways that both of their parents manipulate situations simply because they don't want to go against what the lords say. I just wanted everybody in this book to stand the fuck up. And nobody ever does. It didn't really do it for me, but I will say that the last half of the book gave what the entire book needed to be giving. We actually had movement and we had action, and the characters were actually talking to each other and connecting with each other and trying to get to know each other, even though everything was just fucked up and crazy. It should have been that from go, and it wasn't. This did not need to be 600 plus pages. This could have been a solid 300 with the epilogue, and we would have been fine. But that's not what it gave. I also just found it super annoying because every other sentence, the author is telling us what song, and when I say what song, I mean full song title and name of artist, is playing in the background of the scene. And like every other paragraph, babes, you gave me a playlist at the beginning of the book for a reason. There's no reason why every time I'm reading a paragraph, I'm getting a set list. I know more about the set list that was played at the Lord's party at the beginning of the book than I actually do about the Lords themselves. We ain't need to know all that. It got to the point where it was like frustrating to read. I'm like, shit, I don't need to know this. I don't care what song is playing in the car. I don't care that you're playing Collard Greens by Schoolboy Q and Kendrick Lamar. I don't care. I just want to know what's happening. And it was it was so obnoxious. It got better by the end of the book because she had listed off every single damn song in the playlist by then. But it was rough. This was a rough read, and had it not have been a buddy read, I probably would have DNF'd it. It was not what I was hoping for. I love a good dark romance. I love it dark. I love it brutal. I love a mean ass MMC. I do. I love a mean. Call me a bitch. Slap me. I love that. This did not give what it needed to give. It just didn't feel organic. Like, it just didn't. I think that Shantel Tessier definitely has some writing chops, because when you get to the latter half of this book, it's like, okay, this is what I was looking for. But this just was not it. I will say that I do want to give this series another chance, because the last half of the book gave me kind of hope for what Shantel is putting down. I think I want to read Tyson's book, because Tyson is the only character in the series that interests me. I am very interested in his story, and how he's going to get his lick back. I'm very curious. But that will probably be the only other book in this that I touch. This just is not for me. It's not. So it was fine. It got a 2-star for me. It was not the business. I don't think Riot Archer is ever going to be one of like my top book boyfriends. To me, he was just mid. He was fine. he was okay. It was what it was. And I wanted to love that book so bad, because I love my books dark AF. But it just, nope, it was a big letdown. So we will see. When I read Tyson's book, I think that one is The Sacrifice, if I remember right. I will probably come on and talk about it. But I think that will probably be like my last go round with Shantel Tessier. But y'all need to start being a little bit more honest about the stuff that y'all be reading in these books, because the way that y'all talked about these people and these books, I think y'all are projecting what you wanted the characters to be over what they were really giving, because there is no way that y'all thought that these people were good people. And that's how a lot of y'all talked about these books. So I was really surprised when I picked up what was being put down. But yeah, you guys let me know if you have read the book. I know some of you guys have suggested it to me, and some of you love it. I hate that I'm not able to share in that with you. But it's okay. Not every book is going to be for everybody. But if you're a dark romance lover, throw some of your favorites down in the comments below, because I'm always looking for new bomb-ass dark romance to read. I do want to get into Sick Boys by Clarissa Wilde. Me and Sri were talking about possibly buddy reading that, so that may be one of my next dark romance buddy reads. Y'all let me know down in the comments. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I don't really like posting like negative reviews, but at the same time, I feel like it's good to have well-roundedness, you know? And especially just being honest about our feelings and things. The reviews are for each other, for the consumer, for the reader. So yeah, I love y'all, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.